I was halfway across the world when my daughter's scream shattered my heart into a million pieces. "Dad, please, he's going to kill us." The line went dead. I stared at my phone in the desert heat, my hands shaking, my mind racing. My little girl, my Lily, was crying for help, and I was 7,000 miles away. That was the moment I knew. I was going home, and I wasn't coming alone. Hit like, subscribe for more betrayal stories, and comment your city or country. Let me back up a little. My name is Jake Morrison. I'm a Marine Corps sergeant, been serving for 12 years. 3 years ago, my wife Emma left me. Said I was never home. Said the kids needed stability. Said she found someone who could actually be there. That someone was Derek Watson. Rich, successful, charming. At least, that's what everyone saw. I saw something else in his eyes during the custody hearing. Something cold. Something dangerous. But the judge didn't care what I saw. Emma got primary custody. I got every other weekend and a broken heart. I tried to be there for my kids, Lily, who's 10 now, and Max, who just turned 8. But Derek made it hard. He'd cancel my visits last minute. He'd tell the kids I didn't care about them. Emma, she just let it happen. I watched my babies slip away, one weekend at a time. But I never stopped calling. Never stopped sending letters. Never stopped being their dad, even from thousands of miles away. 2 months ago, I got deployed to Afghanistan. Routine mission. 3 months overseas, then home for good. I was counting down the days. Lily would video call me every week, always smiling, always saying she was fine. But last week, something changed. Her smile looked forced. Her eyes looked scared. When I asked if everything was okay, she glanced off camera and whispered, "Yeah, Dad. Everything's fine." Then she hung up quick. Too quick. I tried calling Emma. No answer. I tried texting. Nothing. My gut told me something was wrong, but I was stuck on the other side of the world with no way to help. That feeling, that helplessness, it's the worst thing a father can feel. Worse than any bullet, any bomb, any battlefield. Not being there when your kids need you. That's the real nightmare. Then tonight happened. I was in my bunk, writing a letter to Max for his birthday, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to pick up. "Dad." It was Lily. Her voice was shaking. In the background, I heard shouting. A man's voice. "Derek." "Lily, what's wrong? What's happening?" I sat up straight, my heart pounding. "Dad, he hurt Max." He grabbed him by the neck and threw him against the wall. "Max is bleeding." Mom tried to stop him, but he locked her in the bedroom. "Dad, I'm scared. I'm hiding in the closet. I don't know what to do." My blood turned to ice. Every muscle in my body tensed. I could hear Derek screaming in the background. "Where's that little brat? When I find her, she's gonna learn to keep her mouth shut." Lily sobbed into the phone. "Dad, please come home. He said if we ever told you, he'd make us disappear. But I don't care anymore. I need you. Max needs you. Please, Dad." The line cut off. I tried calling back. Straight to voicemail. I tried again. Nothing. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking with rage. I stood up and walked straight to my commander's quarters. Didn't knock. Just walked in. Captain Harris looked up from his desk, surprised. "Morrison, what the hell?" "Sir, I need emergency leave. Now." My voice was steady, but inside I was burning. "My kids are in danger. My ex-wife's husband just assaulted my son. I need to go home. Tonight." Harris studied my face. "He's a good man. Been in the service 20 years. He's a father too." "How bad is it?" "Bad enough that my 10-year-old daughter called me crying, saying he's going to kill them." Harris didn't hesitate. "Pack your gear. I'll get you on the next transport out. Go get your kids, Morrison." I ran back to my bunk and grabbed my phone. My hands were still shaking, but my mind was clear. I knew what I had to do. I pulled up my contacts and sent a group text to 3 names: Carter, Mason, and Bryce. My brothers. My unit. The guys who've had my back in every firefight, every mission, every dark moment. The message was simple. "Derek hurt my kids. I'm coming home. I need you." Less than 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. "Carter, I'm in. Where and when?" "Mason, Say the word, brother. Bryce, nobody touches your family. We're with you. I sat on the edge of my bunk, staring at those messages. 3 men who didn't hesitate. 3 men who would drop everything to stand beside me. That's what brotherhood means. That's what the Marines taught me. You never leave a man behind. And you sure as hell don't let someone hurt his kids. I typed back, meet me at my dad's house in Virginia. 2 days. And boys, bring your gear. The transport flight felt like the longest 18 hours of my life. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. All I could think about was Lily's voice on that phone call. Max's blood. Emma locked in a bedroom. And Derek, that monster, thinking he could get away with it. Thinking I was too far away to do anything. He was wrong. I wasn't just a father coming home. I was a Marine coming home. And I wasn't coming alone. I was bringing an entire unit of trained warriors who knew exactly how to handle men like Derek Watson. As the plane descended into Virginia, I looked out the window at the city lights below. Somewhere down there, my kids were scared and hurting. But not for long, because their dad was home. And this time, Derek was going to learn a lesson he'd never forget. You don't mess with a Marine's family. Ever. I pulled out my phone and sent one more text to Emma's number, knowing Derek might see it. I'm coming home. You have 24 hours to make this right. After that, it's out of your hands. I didn't expect a response. And I didn't get one. Good. That meant Derek knew I was coming. Let him sweat. Let him panic. Because when I walked through that door, it wasn't going to be just me. It was going to be me and my brothers. And we were going to end this nightmare once and for all. The wheels touched down. I grabbed my bag and stepped off the plane onto American soil. The air felt different. Colder. Sharper. I could feel the storm coming. And I was ready for it. The drive to my dad's house felt like driving through a graveyard of memories. Every turn reminded me of the life Emma destroyed. I gripped the steering wheel, jaw clenched. I didn't want to think about her, about us. But if I was going to face Derek, I needed to remember how this nightmare started. 3 years ago, I came home from deployment excited to see my family. Instead, I walked into an empty house. No welcome signs. Just Emma sitting at the kitchen table, her face cold. We need to talk, she said. For words that changed everything. She wanted a divorce. Said I was never there. Said the kids barely knew me. Said she'd met someone who could actually be present. I tried to remind her of our vows, of the life we built. But her mind was made up. She'd already hired a lawyer. 2 weeks later, Carter told me he saw Emma at a restaurant with Derek Watson, holding hands, laughing. She'd been cheating for 4 months while I was overseas, trusting her, missing her, loving her. Derek was everything I wasn't. Rich real estate developer, big house, expensive cars. He swooped in with his money and charm and took everything. But worse than taking my wife, he took my kids. Emma filed for primary custody. Her lawyer painted me as an absent father too obsessed with the military. The judge looked at my deployment records and agreed. Just like that, I went from full-time dad to every other weekend visitor. I'll never forget meeting Derek at the custody hearing. He sat next to Emma, smirking like he'd won some prize. After court, he approached me in the parking lot. No hard feelings, right? He said, extending his hand. I stared at him. Stay away from my kids. He laughed. They're living in my house now, buddy. Better get used to it. I saw something dark flicker in his eyes. Something cruel. But I had no power to stop it. The first months were hell. Lily and Max cried every time I dropped them off. Max would cling to my leg, begging me not to leave. I'd tell them I loved them, that everything would be okay. But inside, I was dying. Derek bought them expensive toys, took them on vacations. Slowly, I watched them pull away. Not because they stopped loving me, but because they had to survive in that house. And surviving meant accepting Derek. Then visits started getting canceled. Emma would call an hour before pickup. Something came up. Or the kids are tired. I'd drive 3 hours just to turn around empty-handed. I called my lawyer, but there was nothing I could do. Emma controlled everything. I was just the backup plan. The man who used to matter. 6 months ago, I noticed bruises on Max's arm. Small ones, like fingerprints. What happened, buddy? He looked at the floor. I fell. But I knew. I've seen enough injuries to know the difference. I asked Lily. She changed the subject. I called Emma. She got defensive. Are you accusing me of something? Because I'll make sure you never see these kids again. I backed off. I couldn't risk losing them completely. But that night, I couldn't sleep. My son was being hurt, and I was powerless. Then I got deployed. Afghanistan. 3 months. The night before I left, I video called the kids. Lily smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Max barely spoke. I'll be home soon, I promised. Lily nodded. Okay, Dad. Be safe. Then she hung up. I stared at the blank screen, feeling like I'd failed them. Now, sitting outside my dad's house, I realized something. I'd been playing by the rules this whole time. And where did it get me? My son thrown against a wall. My daughter hiding in terror. The rules didn't protect them. So I wasn't going to play by the rules anymore. I grabbed my bag and stepped out. My dad opened the door, Robert Morrison, retired Army colonel. The toughest man I know. He looked at me with fire in his eyes. They here yet? I asked. He nodded. Carter, Mason, and Bryce are waiting inside. I walked up the steps. My dad put a hand on my shoulder. We're going to get your kids back, son. I nodded. Whatever it takes. I stepped inside. There they were. My brothers. Carter by the window, arms crossed. Mason at the table, cleaning his knife. Bryce against the wall, jaw tight. They looked up when I entered. Carter spoke first. Tell us everything. I sat down and played Lily's voicemail. Her crying. Derek's threats in the background. When it ended, the room was silent. Mason slammed his fist on the table. That son of a bitch. Bryce pushed off the wall. What's the plan? I looked at each of them. We're going to destroy him. Legally. Publicly. Completely. He's going to lose everything. And my kids are never going to be afraid again. Carter nodded. Let's get to work. My dad pulled up everything on Derek Watson. Shady business deals. Complaints from ex-employees. A restraining order from an ex-girlfriend 7 years ago. Buried, sealed, paid off. This guy's a ticking time bomb, my dad said. We just need to light the fuse. I stared at Derek's photo on the screen. That smug face. He thought he was untouchable, but he'd never faced a father with nothing left to lose. And he'd definitely never faced Marines who'd decided he was the enemy. I leaned back and smiled. Derek Watson, you just made the worst mistake of your life. You hurt my kids. Now you're about to find out what happens when you mess with a Marine's family. Emma Watson sat on the edge of her bed, staring at the locked bedroom door. Her hands were shaking. Her face was wet with tears. Outside, she could hear Derek's footsteps pacing back and forth. Heavy, angry. She knew that walk. It was the walk that came before the yelling, before the grabbing, before the things she'd spent 3 years trying to hide from everyone, including herself. She'd made a mistake, the biggest mistake of her life. And now her children were paying for it. 3 years ago, she thought she'd found her knight in shining armor. Derek Watson was everything Jake wasn't. He was home every night. He took her to expensive restaurants. He bought her designer clothes and promised her a life of comfort and security. No more lonely nights wondering if her husband would come home alive. No more military deployments. No more putting her life on hold. Derek made her feel seen. Important. Special. But that was before the mask came off. The first time Derek showed his true colors was 6 months after the wedding. They were at dinner, and Emma mentioned Jake's name in passing. Something about the kids missing their father. Derek's face darkened. He gripped his fork so hard his knuckles turned white. I don't want to hear that man's name in my house, he said quietly. Too quietly. Emma laughed it off, thinking he was joking. He wasn't. That night, he told her exactly how things were going to be. I'm their father now. Jake is just a weekend babysitter. And if you keep bringing him up, we're going to have a problem. Emma should have left then, but she didn't. She told herself Derek was just adjusting, that he'd get better, that he loved her. Besides, leaving would mean admitting she'd destroyed her marriage for nothing. It would mean facing Jake and telling him he was right. Her pride wouldn't let her do that. So she stayed. And things got worse. Derek started controlling everything. Who she talked to, where she went, what she wore. He checked her phone constantly, accused her of still being in love with Jake. If she tried to argue, he'd get in her face, his voice low and threatening. You think you can leave me? You think anyone would believe you? I own this town, Emma. I own you. She stopped arguing, stopped defending herself, stopped being herself. She became a ghost in her own life, doing whatever it took to keep Derek calm. But the worst part wasn't what he did to her. It was what he did to Lily and Max. Derek hated Jake's children. He saw them as reminders of his wife's past, reminders that he wasn't her first choice. He'd never say it out loud in front of anyone, but at home, he made it clear. He'd make comments about how they weren't real Watsons, how they needed to toughen up and stop being so soft. When Max would cry for his dad, Derek would mock him. Daddy's not coming to save you, kid. He's too busy playing soldier. Emma tried to protect them. She really did. But Derek was smart. He never left marks where anyone could see. A grip on the arm, a shove into the wall, words that cut deeper than any bruise. And he always did it when Emma wasn't looking or when she was too afraid to stop him. Lily and Max learned quickly. Don't talk about Dad. Don't cry. Don't make Derek angry. Just survive. Then last week, everything exploded. Max had been on the phone with Jake, excited about an upcoming visit. Derek overheard. When Max hung up, Derek grabbed the phone out of his hand. What did I tell you about calling him? Max's lip trembled. He's my dad. I'm allowed to talk to him. Wrong answer. Derek grabbed Max by the collar and shoved him hard against the wall. I'm your dad now, and you're going to learn some respect. Emma ran into the room just as Derek's hand moved toward Max's throat. Derek, stop, she screamed. She grabbed his arm, trying to pull him away. Derek turned on her, his eyes wild. You want to defend him? Fine. You can stay in your room and think about whose side you're really on. He shoved her toward the bedroom. Emma stumbled, hitting her shoulder against the doorframe. Derek pointed at Max and Lily, who stood frozen in terror. Get to your rooms. Now. And if I hear one word out of either of you tonight, you'll regret it. Emma tried to leave her room later, but the door was locked from the outside. She pounded on it, screamed, begged. Nothing. She grabbed her phone and called Lily. Are you okay? Is Max okay? Lily's voice was quiet, scared. Max's lip is bleeding. He's crying. Mom, I'm scared. Emma felt her heart break. I'm so sorry, baby. I'm going to fix this. I promise. But even as she said it, she didn't know how. Derek had taken her car keys, her credit cards, her freedom. She was trapped. That's when Lily did the bravest thing Emma had ever seen. She called Jake. Emma heard about it the next morning when Derek unlocked the door. He was calm, too calm. Your daughter called her daddy last night, he said, leaning against the doorframe. Told him I hurt Max, told him you were locked up. You know what that means, right? Emma's blood ran cold. Derek, please, he held up a hand. Jake's probably on his way here right now, thinking he's going to play hero. Let him come. I've got lawyers. I've got connections. And I've got a restraining order ready to file the second he steps on my property. He's not taking you or those kids anywhere. And if you try to leave me, he stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. I'll make sure you lose them. Permanently. Emma realized then that she wasn't just trapped in a house. She was trapped in a nightmare. And the only person who could save her was the man she'd betrayed. The man she'd left for this monster. Jake. She'd pushed him away, painted him as the bad guy, taken his children from him. And now, she needed him to save them all. The irony wasn't lost on her. Neither was the guilt. She sat on the bed, staring at her phone. She wanted to call Jake. Wanted to beg for his forgiveness. Wanted to tell him she'd been wrong about everything. But Derek was watching her. Always watching. So instead, she prayed. Prayed that Jake was coming. Prayed that he'd bring help. Prayed that her children would forgive her for putting them in this hell. And prayed that somehow, some way, this nightmare would end before Derek did something they couldn't come back from. Outside the door, Derek's footsteps stopped. The lock clicked. The door opened. He stood there, smiling. That same charming smile he'd used to win her over 3 years ago. We're having guests tomorrow night, he said. A business party. You're going to get dressed up, smile, and act like the perfect wife. And if you say one word to anyone about our little disagreements." He let the threat hang in the air. Emma nodded, her voice barely a whisper. "I understand." Derek's smile widened. "Good girl." He closed the door. The lock clicked again. Emma buried her face in her hands and cried. Because she knew the truth. Derek wasn't going to let them go. Not without a fight. And if Jake was really coming, it was going to get ugly. She just hoped that when the dust settled, her children would still be alive. And that maybe, just maybe, Jake would give her the chance to say she was sorry. The plane touched down at 6 a.m. I hadn't slept in 36 hours, but adrenaline kept me moving. Carter, Mason, and Bryce were waiting at my dad's house. When I walked through that door, I wasn't just Jake Morrison anymore. I was a father on a mission, and I had an army behind me. My dad was already at the kitchen table, laptop open, files spread everywhere. He looked up when I entered. "I've been digging into Derek Watson all night. You need to see this." Carter stood by the window, arms crossed. Mason cleaned his knife at the table. Bryce leaned against the wall, silent but ready. These men had saved my life overseas. Now they were here to save my kids. My dad turned the laptop toward me. "Derek's not as clean as he looks. 3 years ago, an ex-girlfriend filed a restraining order. Claimed he choked her during an argument. Case disappeared 2 weeks later. Money changed hands. My blood boiled. He's done this before." My dad nodded. "And he'll do it again. Unless we stop him." Carter spoke up. "What's the plan, Jake?" I looked at each of them. "We do this the right way. Legally. We gather evidence. We build a case. We use the system against him. But if he tries anything..." I paused. "We protect my kids. Whatever it takes." Mason grinned. "Now you're talking. First stop, my kids. They were staying with Emma's parents across town. I knocked on the door, my heart pounding. Emma's mother, Linda, opened it. Her face went pale. "Jake, I didn't know you were back. Where are they?" My voice was calm but firm. She stepped aside. "Upstairs. In Lily's old room." I climbed those stairs faster than I've ever moved. The door was cracked open. Inside, Lily sat on the bed next to Max. His face was bruised. His lip was split. "My little boy." My heart shattered. "Dad." Lily's voice broke. She jumped up and ran into my arms. Max followed, sobbing into my chest. "I'm here," I whispered. "I'm here, and I'm not leaving. I promise." I knelt down to Max's level. "Who did this to you?" He looked at the floor. "Derek." He grabbed me, threw me, said I was talking too much about you. Rage burned in my chest, but I kept my voice soft. "Did he hurt Lily too?" Max shook his head. "No, but he yells at her. A lot. And Mom. She's scared of him, Dad. Really scared." I pulled them both close. "Listen to me. You're safe now. I'm not letting anyone hurt you ever again. Do you understand?" They nodded. Lily looked up at me, tears streaming down her face. "Is Mom okay?" He locked her in the bedroom. "We haven't seen her since." My jaw clenched. "I'm going to get her out. I promise." Back at my dad's house, I laid out the plan. Derek's hosting a business party tomorrow night at his mansion. Big event. Lots of guests. That's our window. Carter raised an eyebrow. "You want to crash his party?" I nodded. "In front of witnesses. He can't hide behind closed doors if the whole town is watching." Bryce smiled. "I like it." My dad pulled up blueprints of Derek's house. 2 exits. Front and back. Security cameras on every corner. He's paranoid. Mason studied the layout. "We'll need someone monitoring those cameras." "I can handle that." Carter pointed to the back exit. "Bryce and I will cover the perimeter. You go in the front, Jake. Make it public." I nodded. "Perfect." But before we could move, I needed legal backup. My dad recommended Rachel Stone, a military lawyer known for taking down abusers. I called her that afternoon. "Ms. Stone, I need your help. My ex-wife's husband assaulted my children and is holding her hostage. I'm planning to confront him tomorrow night." There was a pause. "Jake Morrison. I've heard about you. Marines, right?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Meet me at my office in an hour. Bring evidence." Photos of your son's injuries. Voice recordings if you have them. We're filing an emergency custody motion today. Rachel Stone didn't waste time. She looked at the photos of Max's bruises and listened to Lily's voicemail. Her face hardened. This is textbook domestic violence. We have grounds for emergency custody and a restraining order. But I need your ex-wife's testimony. She's trapped in that house, I said. Derek won't let her leave. Rachel leaned forward. Then we get her out. Tomorrow night, at that party, you bring her to me. I'll have papers ready. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying Lily's phone call in my head. Her scared voice. Derek's threats. My kids hiding, bleeding, crying. Emma locked away. I'd spent years playing by the rules, trusting the system, hoping things would get better. But the system failed them. So now, I was taking matters into my own hands. Not with violence. With strategy. With witnesses. With the law on my side. At dawn, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Jake Morrison. A cold, familiar voice responded. This is Derek. I hear you're in town. My grip tightened on the phone. That's right. He laughed. Stay away from my family, soldier boy. You come near my house, and I'll have you arrested for trespassing. I stayed calm. Your family? Those are my kids, Derek. And you put your hands on them. Silence. Then his voice turned ice cold. Prove it. I smiled. I will. See you tomorrow night. I hung up and looked at my brothers. He knows we're coming. Carter grinned. Good. Let him sweat. Mason stood up. Game time. Bryce cracked his knuckles. Let's end this. Tomorrow night, Derek Watson's perfect little world was going to come crashing down. In front of everyone he knew. And there was nothing he could do to stop it. The night before Derek's party, I sat in Rachel Stone's office going over the plan one more time. She spread legal documents across her desk. Emergency custody petition, restraining order application, witness statements. Everything we needed to bury Derek Watson. Tomorrow night, you walk in, you get Emma out, and you bring her straight to me, Rachel said, tapping her pen on the papers. I'll have a judge on standby. We file everything within the hour. I nodded. What if Derek tries to stop us? Rachel looked up, her eyes sharp. That's what the witnesses are for. He can't claim assault or kidnapping if 50 people see Emma walk out willingly. And if he touches you. She smiled. Well, that's just more evidence. Back at my dad's house, the team was ready. Carter checked his phone. He'd been monitoring Derek's social media. Guest list is public. Business partners, city council members, even the police chief. Derek's showing off. Mason grinned. Perfect. Let's give them a show they'll never forget. Bryce pulled up the security camera feeds he'd hacked into earlier. I've got eyes on every entrance. Derek's got private security, 2 guys at the front gate, 1 roaming the property. My dad looked at me. You sure about this, son? Once you walk through that door, there's no turning back. I thought about Max's bruised face. Lily's terrified voice. Emma locked in a bedroom. I've never been more sure of anything in my life. At midnight, my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Silence. Then Derek's voice, cold and measured. Jake Morrison. I was wondering when you'd call. I stayed calm. I didn't call you. You called me. He laughed. Semantics. Listen, I know you're planning something. Whatever it is, don't. You're out of your league here. I own this town. The police. The judges. Everyone. I leaned back in my chair. You don't own me. And you sure as hell don't own my kids. Derek's voice dropped lower. Those kids live in my house. They eat my food. They sleep under my roof. That makes them mine. And Emma? She's not going anywhere. She knows what happens if she tries to leave. My blood boiled, but I kept my voice steady. You put your hands on my son. You locked my ex-wife in a bedroom. You think you can just get away with that? Derek sighed like he was bored. I already have. See, here's the thing, soldier boy. You can come to my party. You can make a scene. But at the end of the night, you'll leave empty-handed. Because I have lawyers. I have money. I have power. What do you have? A uniform and some misplaced sense of justice? I smiled. I have something you'll never understand, Derek. I have brothers who would die for me. And I have the truth. That's more than enough. There was a pause. Then Derek's voice turned ice cold. Come to my party tomorrow night. I dare you. Walk through my front door and see what happens. You'll be arrested before you make it to the living room. I stood up. See you tomorrow, Derek. I hung up. Carter looked at me. He's rattled. I nodded. Good. Rattled people make mistakes. The next morning, I drove to Emma's parents' house to see the kids one more time before tonight. Lily ran into my arms the second I walked in. Dad, are you really going to get Mom? I knelt down. I promise. By tomorrow, you and Max and your mom are going to be safe. No more Derek. No more being scared. Max grabbed my hand. What if he hurts you, Dad? I ruffled his hair. He won't. I've got backup. The best backup in the world. That evening, I put on my Marine dress uniform. The jacket, the medals, the stripes. I looked in the mirror and saw the man I used to be. The man Emma fell in love with. The man who swore to protect and serve. Tonight, I wasn't serving my country. I was serving my family. And nothing was going to stop me. At 7 p.m., Carter, Mason, Bryce, and I pulled up 2 blocks from Derek's mansion. Bryce stayed in the car, monitoring security cameras on his laptop. Mason and Carter circled around to cover the back exit. I walked alone toward the front gate. The security guard stepped forward. Invitation? One of them asked. I looked him dead in the eye. I don't need one. Derek's expecting me. The guard radioed someone inside. A minute later, the gate buzzed open. You're clear. But any trouble, and you're out. I nodded and walked up the long driveway. The mansion was lit up like a palace. Music played. Laughter echoed from inside. I reached the front door and stopped. This was it. The moment everything changed. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The room went silent. Every head turned toward me. Men in suits. Women in dresses. Wine glasses frozen mid-sip. And there, at the center of it all, stood Derek Watson. His face went pale, then red, then twisted into a fake smile. Jake Morrison, he said loudly, walking toward me. What a surprise. I didn't know we invited Marines to this event. I stepped further into the room, my boots echoing on the marble floor. I'm not here for your party, Derek. I'm here for Emma. The room erupted in whispers. Derek's smile faded. Emma's not feeling well. She's resting upstairs. I looked around at all the guests, making sure they heard every word. Emma's not resting. You locked her in a bedroom. And yesterday, you assaulted my 8-year-old son. Gasps filled the room. Derek's face turned red. That's a lie. You're delusional. I pulled out my phone and held it up. This is a voicemail from my daughter, begging me to come home because you hurt her brother. Want me to play it for everyone here? Derek's jaw clenched. His hands balled into fists. Get out of my house. Now. I didn't move. Not without Emma. Derek stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. You're trespassing. I can have you arrested. I smiled. Go ahead. Call the cops. Let's see what they say when 50 witnesses confirm that I walked in here calmly and asked for my children's mother. Derek's eye twitched. He was losing control. Then, from the top of the stairs, a voice called out. Jake! Everyone turned. Emma stood there, her face pale, her hands shaking. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Jake, you came. I nodded. I promised I would. Emma started down the stairs. Derek moved to block her. Emma, get back upstairs. Now. But Emma didn't stop. She walked right past him, her voice shaking but firm. I'm leaving, Derek. I'm done. Derek grabbed her arm. The room gasped. I stepped forward, my voice like steel. Let her go. Derek's hand gripped Emma's arm tight. Too tight. I could see her wince. The entire room held its breath. 50 people watching. Phones out. Recording. Derek didn't realize it yet, but he'd already lost. Let her go. I repeated, my voice calm but deadly serious. Derek's face twisted with rage. This is my house. My wife. You have no right. She's not your property, I said, stepping closer. And you just assaulted her in front of witnesses. Derek's eyes darted around the room. He saw the phones. The shocked faces. The business partners backing away. Reality was sinking in. His perfect image was crumbling. He released Emma's arm and forced a laugh. This is ridiculous. Emma, tell him. Tell everyone that you're fine. That you want to stay. Emma stood there, trembling. For 3 years, she'd been terrified of this man. Controlled by him. Silenced by him. But now, standing between me and Derek, something changed in her eyes. She looked at him and said the words I knew took every ounce of courage she had. I'm leaving, Derek. And I'm taking my children with me. The room erupted. Whispers turned to loud conversations. Derek's business partner, a man named Richard, stepped forward. Derek, what the hell is going on here? Is this true? Did you hurt her kids? Derek spun around. Don't listen to them, Richard. This is a setup. He's trying to sabotage me. Richard looked at Emma, then at me, then back at Derek. I think you need to let her go, Derek, before this gets worse. Derek's jaw clenched. His fists balled. I could see the calculation in his eyes. He wanted to fight, wanted to lash out, but he was surrounded, trapped, and he knew it. Fine, he hissed. Leave. But you're not taking anything from this house. Not a dime. Not a car. Nothing. Emma straightened her shoulders. I don't want your money, Derek. I just want my life back. She walked toward me, her legs shaking but her head held high. I extended my hand. She took it, and together, we walked toward the front door. But Derek wasn't done. You think you won? He shouted after us. I'll destroy you in court, Emma. I'll make sure you lose everything. And you, Jake? You just assaulted me in my own home. I'm pressing charges. I stopped and turned around. I didn't touch you, Derek. But you grabbed Emma in front of 50 witnesses. And earlier this week, you assaulted my 8-year-old son. Rachel Stone has the medical reports. The photos. The witness statements. You're done. Derek's face went white. Who the hell is Rachel Stone? I smiled. Your worst nightmare. As we stepped outside, Carter and Mason appeared from the shadows. Everything go okay? Carter asked. I nodded. Better than okay. Emma's safe. And Derek just buried himself in front of half the town. Mason grinned. Good. Now let's get out of here before he calls the cops. We drove straight to Rachel Stone's office. She was waiting, papers spread across her desk. When Emma walked in, Rachel stood and extended her hand. Mrs. Watson, I'm Rachel Stone. I'm going to help you get your children back and make sure Derek Watson never hurts you again. Emma broke down crying. Thank you. Thank you so much. Rachel sat her down and started going through the documents. Emergency custody petition. Restraining order. Divorce papers. I need you to tell me everything, Emma. Every time he hurt you. Every time he threatened you. Every bruise. Every insult. Everything. Emma took a deep breath and started talking. For 2 hours, she told Rachel everything. The control. The isolation. The violence. The threats. The day he grabbed Max. The night he locked her in the bedroom. Rachel took notes, her face hard and focused. When Emma finished, Rachel leaned back. We have enough. We're filing for emergency custody tonight. By tomorrow morning, you'll have temporary custody of Lily and Max. Derek will be served with a restraining order. And we're pressing charges for domestic violence and child abuse. Emma's eyes widened. Really? That fast? Rachel nodded. That fast. Judge Collins owes me a favor. And after what Derek did tonight in front of witnesses, this is open and shut. At midnight, Rachel called Judge Collins. I could hear the conversation from across the room. Your Honor, I have an emergency custody case. Documented child abuse. Medical records. Witness statements. And the mother just escaped tonight with help from the child's father, a Marine sergeant. There was a pause. Then Rachel smiled. Thank you, Your Honor. I'll have the papers to you within the hour. She hung up and looked at Emma. It's done. Tomorrow at 9 a.m., you go before Judge Collins. Bring Jake. Bring the kids. Bring the medical records. Derek will be served at 8 a.m. He won't even know what hit him. Emma collapsed into her chair, sobbing with relief. I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe it's almost over. I knelt beside her. It's over, Emma. You're safe. The kids are safe. Derek can't touch you anymore. She looked at me, tears streaming down her face. Jake, I'm so sorry. For everything. For leaving you. For bringing him into our kids' lives. For not listening when you tried to warn me. I destroyed everything because I was selfish and stupid. I shook my head. You made a mistake. But you're fixing it now. That's what matters. Our kids need their mom. And I need you to be strong for them. Can you do that? She nodded. I can. I will. I stood up. Good. Because tomorrow, we're going to finish this. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Derek's face when Emma walked out. The rage. The panic. The realization that he'd lost control. Men like Derek don't handle losing well. My phone buzzed at 2 a.m. unknown number. I answered. Heavy breathing on the other end. Then Derek's voice, low and threatening. You're going to regret this, Jake. I'm going to make sure you never see those kids again. I'm going to bury you. I stayed calm. You're breaking the restraining order right now, Derek. This call is being recorded. Keep talking. Silence. Then the line went dead. I forwarded the recording to Rachel. She texted back immediately. Perfect. More evidence. See you at 9 a.m. At 8 a.m., 2 police officers showed up at Derek's mansion to serve him with the restraining order and custody papers. I wasn't there, but Carter was watching from across the street. He texted me. Derek just got served. You should have seen his face. Priceless. I smiled. Phase 1 complete. Now came the hard part, court. The courtroom was packed. Emma sat beside Rachel Stone, her hands folded in her lap, shaking. I sat behind them in my dress uniform, Max and Lily next to me. My dad, Carter, Mason, and Bryce filled the row behind us. Across the aisle sat Derek Watson in an expensive suit, flanked by 2 high-priced lawyers. He looked calm, confident, like he thought he'd already won. Judge Margaret Collins entered, and everyone stood. She was a no-nonsense woman in her 60s with sharp eyes that missed nothing. Be seated, she said, settling into her chair. This is an emergency custody hearing for Lily and Max Morrison. I've reviewed the preliminary documents, and I'll hear from both parties now. Ms. Stone, you're representing the mother? Rachel stood. Yes, Your Honor. Emma Watson is seeking emergency custody of her 2 children based on documented child abuse and domestic violence by the stepfather, Derek Watson. Judge Collins looked at Derek. Mr. Watson, you're represented by counsel? One of Derek's lawyers stood. Yes, Your Honor. Victoria Hunt for the defense. Judge Collins nodded. Ms. Stone, present your case. Rachel pulled out a folder. Your Honor, 3 days ago, Derek Watson physically assaulted 8-year-old Max Morrison. He grabbed the child by the throat and threw him against a wall, resulting in bruising and a split lip. We have medical records, photographs, and witness testimony from the child's older sister, Lily Morrison. Victoria Hunt stood up. Your Honor, those are serious allegations without proof. My client denies any wrongdoing. This appears to be a coordinated attack by the biological father, who's attempting to sabotage my client's marriage and reputation. Rachel didn't flinch. Your Honor, I'd like to call Max Morrison to the stand. My heart sank. Max was only 8 years old. I didn't want to put him through this. But Rachel had explained it was necessary. Judge Collins looked at Max. Young man, can you come up here, please? Max looked at me, terrified. I nodded. It's okay, buddy. Just tell the truth. He walked to the witness stand, his legs shaking. Judge Collins leaned forward, her voice gentle. Max, I know this is scary, but I need you to answer some questions for me. Can you do that? Max nodded. Rachel approached. Max, can you tell the judge what happened 3 days ago at your stepfather's house? Max's voice was barely a whisper. Derek got mad because I was talking to my dad on the phone. He grabbed me and pushed me against the wall. It hurt. Rachel showed him a photo. Is this you in this picture? Max looked at the bruises on his neck and nodded. Yes. Who did this to you? Max's eyes filled with tears. Derek. Victoria Hunt stood. Objection, Your Honor. The child is being coached. Judge Collins shot her a look. Overruled. Sit down, Miss Hunt. I'll decide if he's being coached. Rachel continued. Max, has Derek hurt you before? Max nodded. He pushes me sometimes. And he yells a lot. He says I'm not his real son, and I should stop crying about my dad. The courtroom went silent. Judge Collins's face hardened. Thank you, Max. You can step down. Max ran back to me, and I pulled him into my arms. Rachel called Lily next. She was stronger than Max, but I could see the fear in her eyes. Lily, did you witness what happened to your brother? Lily nodded. Yes. Derek grabbed Max and threw him. Mom tried to stop him, but Derek locked her in the bedroom. I was scared, so I called my dad. Rachel showed the judge the phone records. This call was made at 9:47 p.m. 3 nights ago. Lily called her father, Sergeant Jake Morrison, who was stationed in Afghanistan. Victoria Hunt stood again. Your Honor, this is clearly a setup. The father put the children up to this to gain custody. Judge Collins's eyes narrowed. Ms. Hunt, if you interrupt one more time without proper cause, I'll hold you in contempt. These children have medical evidence supporting their claims. Now sit down. Rachel called Emma to the stand. Emma looked broken, but she held her head up. Mrs. Watson, how long have you been married to Derek Watson? 3 years. During that time, has he ever been violent toward you or your children? Emma's voice cracked. Yes. He's been controlling and abusive from the beginning. I was too scared to leave. He threatened to take my children away if I told anyone. Rachel showed the judge photos of bruises on Emma's arms. Where did these come from? Derek. He grabbed me when I tried to stop him from hurting Max. Victoria Hunt finally found her moment. Your Honor, my client maintains that these allegations are fabricated. Mrs. Watson has motive to lie. She wants to leave the marriage and take his money. Rachel spun around. Your Honor, we have 50 witnesses from Derek Watson's business party 2 nights ago. They saw him grab Mrs. Watson's arm in front of everyone. They heard Sergeant Morrison calmly ask to speak with his ex-wife. And they watched Derek lose control. She pulled out a USB drive. We have video footage from multiple guests. Would the court like to see it? Judge Collins nodded. Play it. The screen lit up with phone footage from the party. Derek's voice echoed through the courtroom. Get back upstairs, Emma. Then Emma's shaking reply. I'm leaving, Derek. I'm done. Then the moment everyone gasped at, Derek grabbing Emma's arm, his face twisted with rage. The video ended. The courtroom was silent. Judge Collins looked at Derek. Mr. Watson, do you have anything to say? Derek stood, his face red. Your Honor, this is all taken out of context. I was trying to protect my wife from a dangerous man who broke into my home. Judge Collins raised an eyebrow. Sergeant Morrison was invited by multiple guests. And you assaulted your wife in front of witnesses. Do you deny that? Derek's lawyer whispered something to him. He sat down, silent. Judge Collins leaned back. I've seen enough. Emergency custody is granted to Emma Watson. Derek Watson is ordered to stay at least 500 feet away from Emma, Lily, and Max Morrison. Supervised visitation only, pending a full custody trial. This hearing is adjourned. The gavel slammed down. Emma collapsed into Rachel's arms, sobbing. Lily and Max ran to their mother. I stood there, watching my family finally safe. Derek stood up, his face pale. He looked at me with pure hatred. This isn't over, he mouthed. I stared back, unflinching. Yes, it is. As we left the courtroom, Carter clapped me on the shoulder. You did it, brother. I shook my head. We did it. All of us. My dad wrapped me in a hug. I'm proud of you, son. Emma approached me, her eyes red from crying. Jake, thank you. I don't deserve your help after everything I did. I looked at Lily and Max, who were smiling for the first time in days. You're their mother. They need you. That's all that matters. Outside the courthouse, Derek was surrounded by reporters. His perfect reputation was crumbling. His business partners were distancing themselves. His world was falling apart. And for once, justice had won. 2 days after the emergency hearing, Derek Watson posted bail and walked out of jail with a smirk on his face. His high-priced lawyers had worked overtime to get him released. But Rachel Stone was ready. She'd filed charges for domestic violence, child abuse, and stalking based on the threatening phone call Derek made to me. The real battle was just beginning. I sat in Rachel's office as she laid out the game plan. Derek's lawyer, Victoria Hunt, is going to fight dirty. She'll try to paint you as the aggressor. She'll claim you're using your military background to intimidate Derek. And she'll argue that Emma is unstable and coached the children. I leaned forward. Can she win? Rachel shook her head. Not with the evidence we have. But she'll make it ugly. Be prepared. The full custody hearing was scheduled for 1 week later. In that time, Derek launched his counterattack. His lawyers filed a motion claiming I had assaulted him at his party and that Emma was an unfit mother who abandoned her children emotionally. They painted Derek as a loving stepfather who disciplined Max for disrespectful behavior. It was all lies, but it was calculated. Emma called me, panicked. Jake, they're saying I'm a bad mother, that I let Derek hurt the kids. What if the judge believes them? I kept my voice steady. The judge has the evidence, Emma. Medical records, witness statements, video footage. Derek can lie all he wants. The truth is on our side. But even as I said it, I knew court battles were unpredictable. We needed to be flawless. The day of the hearing arrived. The courtroom was packed again. Reporters, Derek's business associates, and my unit brothers sitting in the back row. Derek walked in wearing another expensive suit, flanked by Victoria Hunt and 2 other lawyers. He looked confident. Too confident. Emma sat beside Rachel, her hands trembling. I sat behind them, dressed in my uniform, ready for whatever came next. Judge Collins entered, and the room fell silent. This is a full custody hearing to determine permanent arrangements for Lily and Max Morrison. I've reviewed all submitted evidence. Ms. Hunt, you may present your defense. Victoria Hunt stood, her voice smooth and professional. Your Honor, my client Derek Watson has been unjustly vilified by a bitter ex-husband seeking revenge. Sergeant Morrison orchestrated this entire situation to destroy Mr. Watson's reputation and steal custody from a loving stepfather. She pulled out photos of Derek with Lily and Max at a theme park, smiling. These children were happy in Mr. Watson's home. They had stability, financial security, and a father figure who was present. Sergeant Morrison was deployed for months at a time, leaving his children behind. Yet he expects this court to believe he's the better parent? Rachel stood. Objection, Your Honor. This is character assassination, not evidence. Judge Collins nodded. Sustained. Ms. Hunt, stick to the facts. Victoria adjusted her approach. Your Honor, the alleged assault on Max Morrison was a disciplinary action taken by a frustrated stepfather dealing with a disrespectful child. Children get bruises. That doesn't constitute abuse. The courtroom erupted in murmurs. Judge Collins slammed her gavel. Order. Rachel stood, her voice sharp. Your Honor, I'd like to call a witness. Dr. Amanda Brooks, pediatrician who examined Max Morrison after the alleged disciplinary action. A woman in her 40s took the stand. Rachel approached. Dr. Brooks, can you describe Max's injuries? Dr. Brooks pulled out her report. Max had bruising consistent with being grabbed forcefully around the neck and upper arms. He also had a split lip and minor head trauma from impact with a hard surface. These injuries are not consistent with normal childhood accidents or reasonable discipline. They're consistent with assault. Victoria Hunt stood. Objection. The witness is speculating. Judge Collins leaned forward. Overruled. Dr. Brooks is a medical expert. Continue. Rachel nodded. Dr. Brooks, in your professional opinion, was Max Morrison in danger in that home? Dr. Brooks didn't hesitate. Yes. If the abuse had continued, it could have escalated to life-threatening injuries. Next, Rachel called Carter to the stand. He testified about Derek's threatening phone call to me at 2 a.m., which violated the restraining order. Then she called Richard, Derek's former business partner, who testified that Derek had a reputation for explosive anger and controlling behavior. The evidence kept piling up, piece by piece, until Derek's perfect image was completely shattered. Finally, Rachel called Derek himself. He took the stand, his jaw tight. Mr. Watson, did you grab Max Morrison by the throat and throw him against a wall? Derek's voice was calm. I disciplined a child who was being disrespectful. I may have been too firm, but I never intended to hurt him. Rachel pulled out the medical photos. You call this too firm? A child with bruises, a split lip, and head trauma? Derek's mask started to crack. That boy has been poisoned against me by his father. He refuses to respect me in my own home. Rachel stepped closer. So you hurt him because he missed his dad? Derek's face reddened. I didn't hurt him. I taught him a lesson. By assaulting him. By showing him who's in charge. The courtroom went silent. Derek realized his mistake too late. Rachel turned to Judge Collins. No further questions, Your Honor. Victoria Hunt tried damage control, but the words were already out. Derek had confessed in front of everyone. Judge Collins looked at Derek with cold eyes. Mr. Watson, I've heard enough. Based on the evidence presented, medical records, witness testimony, video footage, and your own admission, I'm granting full custody to Emma Watson. You are prohibited from any contact with Lily and Max Morrison. Supervised visitation will not be considered until you complete court-ordered anger management and domestic violence counseling. This court is adjourned. The gavel slammed. Emma collapsed in tears. Lily and Max ran to their mother. I stood, feeling the weight lift off my shoulders. Derek sat frozen, his face pale. Victoria Hunt whispered something to him, but he didn't respond. His world had just collapsed. Outside, reporters swarmed Derek, shouting questions. His business empire was crumbling. Partners were cutting ties. His reputation was destroyed. And for the first time in his life, Derek Watson had lost. Completely. 3 days after the custody verdict, Rachel Stone called with news that made my blood boil. Jake, Derek's filing an appeal. He's claiming judicial bias and trying to overturn the custody order. I gripped the phone. Can he do that? Rachel's voice was calm. He can try, but with the evidence we have, it won't go anywhere. However, there's something else. The district attorney wants to press criminal charges against Derek for assault and domestic violence. That meant another trial, another battle. But this time, it wasn't just about custody. It was about making sure Derek faced real consequences. When I asked, Rachel checked her notes. 2 weeks. I'll be working with the prosecutor. We need you, Emma, and the kids ready to testify again. I exhaled. We'll be ready. The next 2 weeks were intense. Emma was stronger now, but reliving the trauma in court was taking its toll. Lily and Max were finally starting to smile again, but they'd have to face Derek one more time. I spent every day preparing them, reassuring them, reminding them that they were safe now. My unit brothers stayed close. Carter helped Emma move into a new apartment. Mason installed security cameras. Bryce ran background checks to make sure Derek wasn't violating the restraining order. Then, 3 days before the trial, something unexpected happened. Rachel called me at midnight. Jake, you need to see this. Check your email. I opened my laptop. There was a video file attached. I clicked play. It was security footage from Derek's office building. The timestamp showed it was from 2 years ago. In the video, Derek was screaming at a female employee, backing her into a corner, his face inches from hers. Then he grabbed her wrist and twisted it. The woman was crying, terrified. Who is this? I asked. Rachel's voice was excited. Her name is Sophie Martinez. She worked for Derek as his personal assistant. After she saw the news about the custody case, she contacted me. She said Derek abused her for months. She was too scared to report it because he threatened to ruin her career. But now, she's ready to testify. This was huge. It proved Derek had a pattern of abuse. It wasn't just about Emma and the kids anymore. It was about every person Derek had ever hurt. Does the prosecutor know? I asked. Rachel laughed. He does now? This case just got a lot stronger. The day of the criminal trial arrived. The courtroom was packed again. This time, Derek looked different. His expensive suit couldn't hide the exhaustion in his eyes. His lawyers seemed less confident. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Jessica Reynolds stood and addressed the judge. Your Honor, the state is charging Derek Watson with assault, domestic violence, and child endangerment. We have extensive evidence and multiple witnesses. Jessica called Emma first. Emma took the stand, her voice steady. She told the jury everything. The control, the threats, the night Derek locked her in the bedroom, the moment he grabbed Max. By the time she finished, several jurors were wiping their eyes. Derek's lawyer, Victoria Hunt, tried to discredit Emma during cross-examination. Mrs. Watson, isn't it true that you left your husband, a decorated Marine, for my client because you wanted his money? Emma didn't flinch. I left Jake because I was selfish and made a terrible mistake. And I've paid for that mistake every day since. Next, Jessica called Max. The little boy walked to the stand, his hand in mine until the last moment. Max, can you tell the jury what Derek did to you? Max's voice was small but clear. He grabbed my neck and threw me. It hurt a lot. I was scared. Victoria Hunt stood. Objection, Your Honor. This child has been coached. The judge's eyes narrowed. Overruled. Continue. Then came the moment that changed everything. Jessica called Sophie Martinez to the stand. Sophie was in her early 30s, nervous but determined. Ms. Martinez, how long did you work for Derek Watson? 2 years. During that time, did he ever hurt you? Sophie's voice cracked. Yes, many times. He'd scream at me, grab me, throw things. Once, he twisted my wrist so hard I thought it was broken. But I was too scared to report it. He said no one would believe me. Jessica played the security footage. The courtroom went silent as everyone watched Derek attack Sophie. When it ended, the jury looked horrified. Derek's face was pale. Victoria Hunt tried to object, but the judge overruled her. This footage is admissible. Continue. Finally, Jessica called my unit brothers as character witnesses. Carter took the stand first. Sergeant Morrison is one of the most honorable men I know. He'd never put his children in danger or manipulate this situation. Everything he did was to protect his family. Mason and Bryce testified the same. Their words carried weight. These were Marines, trained warriors who didn't lie or exaggerate. Then it was Derek's turn. He took the stand, trying to maintain his composure. Jessica approached him slowly. Mr. Watson, did you assault Max Morrison? Derek's voice was tight. I disciplined him. That's not assault. Jessica pulled out the medical photos. You call this discipline? Derek's jaw clenched. He needed to learn respect. By choking him. I didn't choke him. Derek's voice rose. The mask was slipping. Jessica showed the video of Sophie. Did you assault Ms. Martinez? Derek hesitated. That was taken out of context. You grabbed her wrist and twisted it. How is that out of context? Derek's face reddened. She was insubordinate. So you hurt her? I was teaching her a lesson. The courtroom erupted. Judge Collins slammed her gavel. Order. Jessica stepped back. No further questions. Derek realized too late that he'd just confessed again. Victoria Hunt tried to salvage the situation during redirect, but the damage was done. The jury had seen the real Derek Watson, the monster behind the mask. After closing arguments, the jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood. We find the defendant, Derek Watson, guilty on all counts. Emma collapsed in tears. I pulled her into a hug. Lily and Max cheered. My brothers clapped me on the back. Judge Collins looked at Derek. Mr. Watson, you have shown a pattern of violence and control. You've hurt women, children, and employees. This court sentences you to 5 years in prison, followed by mandatory counseling and a permanent restraining order. You will never be allowed near the Morrison family again. The gavel slammed. Derek was led away in handcuffs, his empire destroyed, his freedom gone. Outside, reporters swarmed us. Emma held her children close. I just want to say thank you to Jake Morrison. He saved our lives. I looked at the cameras. This isn't about me. It's about protecting the people who can't protect themselves. Derek Watson hurt a lot of people. Today, he finally paid for it. 6 months after Derek Watson was sentenced to prison, Life finally felt like it was supposed to. I stood in the backyard of my new house, watching Max and Lily play on the swing set I'd built last weekend. Their laughter filled the air, real laughter, not the forced kind they used to fake around Derek. Emma sat on the porch steps, sipping coffee, a genuine smile on her face. For the first time in years, we were all free. Emma and I didn't get back together. Too much had happened. Too much had been broken. But we co-parented better than we ever had before. We put the kids first. We communicated. We respected each other's boundaries. And most importantly, we both learned from our mistakes. Emma was in therapy, working through the trauma Derek had caused. She was stronger now, more confident. The woman I'd fallen in love with all those years ago was slowly coming back. The kids were healing too. Max's nightmares had stopped. He talked about Derek less and less. Lily was back to being the bright, curious girl she'd always been. They spent weekdays with Emma in her new apartment and weekends with me. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. It was safe. It was home. My unit brothers became part of our family. Carter showed up every Sunday for barbecue. Mason taught Max how to throw a football. Bryce helped Lily with her science projects. They weren't just my brothers anymore. They were uncles to my kids. And I knew that no matter what happened, we'd always have each other's backs. Rachel Stone became a close friend too. She'd fought so hard for my family, and I'd never forget that. She stopped by one afternoon with news. "Jake, you should know, Derek's appealing his sentence. But between you and me, it's not going anywhere. The evidence was too strong. He'll serve his full term." I nodded. "Good. He deserves every day of it." 3 weeks later, something unexpected happened. Sophie Martinez, the woman who testified against Derek, reached out to me. "Sergeant Morrison, I just wanted to say thank you. Because of you and your family, I found the courage to speak up. Derek can't hurt anyone else now." Her words hit me hard. This wasn't just about my kids anymore. It was about everyone Derek had ever terrorized. And knowing that we'd stopped him from hurting anyone else, that made everything worth it. One evening, as I tucked Lily and Max into bed, Lily looked up at me with her big brown eyes. "Dad, are you leaving again?" My heart sank. I knew this question would come eventually. "No, sweetheart. I'm done with deployments. I put in for a transfer to a local base. I'm staying right here. I'm not going anywhere." Lily's face lit up. "Really? You promise?" I kissed her forehead. "I promise." Max grabbed my hand. "Dad, I'm not scared anymore. Derek's gone, right? He can't come back." I squeezed his hand. "He's gone, buddy. And he's never coming back. You're safe. Both of you." Max smiled and closed his eyes. "I love you, Dad. I love you too, son." That night, I sat on my porch with a beer, staring up at the stars. My dad pulled up in his truck and joined me. "You did good, Jake. Real good." I looked at him. "I couldn't have done it without you. Without Carter, Mason, Bryce, Rachel, everyone." My dad put a hand on my shoulder. "That's what family does. We show up when it matters most." Emma called me the next morning. "Jake, I need to say something. I've been wanting to say it for months, but I didn't know how." I braced myself. "What is it?" Her voice cracked. "I'm sorry. For everything. For leaving you. For bringing Derek into our lives. For putting our kids in danger. For not listening when you tried to warn me. I destroyed everything because I was selfish and stupid, and I don't expect you to forgive me. But I needed you to know that I see it now. I see how wrong I was. And I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to Lily and Max." I took a deep breath. "Emma, you made mistakes. Big ones. But you also fought like hell to fix them. You testified. You faced Derek. You chose our kids over your pride. That takes courage. And yeah, it's going to take time for me to fully forgive you. But we're getting there. What matters is that Lily and Max are safe. That they're happy. That they know both their parents love them. Everything else, we'll figure it out." Emma sobbed on the other end. "Thank you, Jake. Thank you for giving me another chance to be a good mom." "You already are," I said. "You just needed to remember that." A month later, I got a call from Judge Collins. "Sergeant Morrison, I wanted to let you know that Derek Watson tried to file another appeal. It was denied. He'll serve his full sentence with no possibility of early parole. Your family is safe. I exhaled. Thank you, Your Honor. For everything. She paused. You fought for your children when the system failed them. That's what a real father does. Your kids are lucky to have you. That weekend, we had a family barbecue at my dad's house. Emma, Lily, Max, my dad, Carter, Mason, Bryce, Rachel, everyone who'd fought for us was there. As I watched my kids run around the yard, laughing and playing, I realized something. We'd been through hell. We'd faced a monster. We'd fought battles in court and in life. But we came out stronger. Together. And that's what mattered. As the sun set, I gathered everyone around. I just want to say something. To all of you. You didn't have to help us. You didn't have to fight for us. But you did. And because of you, my kids get to be kids again. They get to feel safe. They get to be happy. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Carter raised his beer. To family. Blood or not. Everyone echoed. To family. That night, as I tucked the kids in one more time, Lily asked me a question that made my heart swell. Dad, do you think we'll ever be okay? Like really okay? I smiled. Sweetheart, we already are. We've got each other. We've got people who love us. We've got a future full of possibilities. Yeah, bad things happened. But we survived. And we're stronger because of it. So yes, baby, we're more than okay. We're going to be amazing. Lily hugged me tight. I love you, Dad. I love you too, sweetheart. Always. As I walked out of their room and closed the door, I realized something. Sometimes the strongest weapon isn't a gun or a fist. It's a father's love. It's a family that refuses to break. It's brothers who stand together no matter what. And it's the courage to fight for what's right, even when the world tries to tell you it's impossible. Derek Watson thought he could destroy us. But all he did was make us stronger. And now, he's locked away, while we're out here living our best lives. That's the real revenge. Not violence. Not hatred. Just healing, happiness, and the knowledge that justice was served.